Today I'm going to review a book that I absolutely adore. It's an adult fantasy book called The Way of Shadows by Brent Weeks. I told you about this book when I got it, and I wasn't really sure what I was expecting. I didn't really even know what it was about, and I thought it was going to take place in modern times. It was completely different from what I was expecting. It takes place in the olden days. It's a classic fantasy setting. It starts out with this little boy named Kaisa. I think that's how you pronounce it. I should have probably checked how to pronounce his name before doing the video, but anyway, his name is Kaisa, and he lives on the street. He's a part of this gang of children. You basically have to be in one of these gangs or you won't survive. And the way it works is that the little ones gather money, they steal money from people, and then they give the money to the leader. I can't talk. They give the money to the leader, and in this gang it's a boy called Rat. Well, he's not the real leader just yet, but he's the one who gathers the money, and he's the evil one. You can't even believe how young these kids are, because basically this kid Rat, he is way beyond evil. He's like 12. I don't know, but it's hard to believe. Anyway, so Kaisa is not liked by Rat, and they kind of become enemies, and it's not good to be enemies with the leader. So it basically comes down to he has to kill Rat, or Rat will kill him or the people that he cares about. Because there's this girl called Doll Girl. That's not her name, but she can't talk, so they just gave her the name Doll Girl. And he also has another friend whose name I have forgotten, but he really cares about them, and he doesn't want to die, basically. So this is the part of the story where he meets an assassin. He's not an assassin, he's a wet boy, which is worse. And he's a legend. His name is Brent, and he's the biggest badass ever. Brent does not take apprentices. That's what he says, but you know he's gonna take an apprentice. But anyway, Kaisa wants to become Durzo's apprentice so that he can learn how to take care of himself, so that he won't ever have to be afraid again, and so that he can protect Doll Girl from evil people like Rat. And Brent tells him that he does not take apprentices, but after a while he says, okay, kill Rat and I will take you as an apprentice. And that's kind of, where the story starts. And Kaisa later on becomes Brent's apprentice, and he has to leave his life, his former life behind, and he has to become an entirely new person named Kaisa, and he has to feel nothing and sort of throw away all respect for life. And it's a very dark novel, I will say that to begin with. It's very dark. I probably wouldn't recommend this book for anyone younger than, I don't know, I'm not good with age limits, but I don't know, 15, because it does involve a lot of violence, blood, bad language, sexual stuff. Yeah, so it's pretty gruesome, but that's also what kind of makes it awesome. I thoroughly appreciated the bad language, because it kind of, I don't know, it made it more real. But on the other hand, I kind of wondered, did they really use the F word back in the day? But then again, it's a fantasy book, so he's created his own world, so maybe in his world they did. I don't know if they did though, but anyway, never mind. I'm getting off topic here. The thing is, as I told you, Brent is not an assassin. He's a wet boy, and a wet boy is an assassin who can use magic. So there you go. There's assassins and magic. It's an awesome book already. And so on the back of this book, it says that Azoth has to become an assassin. And though that is kind of true, because he kind of has problems learning the magic part, I still think that it sounds wrong that they wrote assassin on the back of this book, and assassin is basically a slap in the face to a wet boy. A wet boy does not want to be called an assassin. So I just thought that was weird. The characters are basically what makes this book absolutely incredible. Azoth is a pretty versatile character. He starts out as a little fearful boy, and then he grows up and kind of turns into a perfect hero for a fantasy story. Because he is Durzo Blint's apprentice, he is kind of on the cold side, but he still has a little bit of Azoth in him, so he still feels for people, and he doesn't really want to kill people, but it's his new life, and it's something that he has to learn to like. And it's a very interesting character. It's interesting to see him grow up and turn into someone completely different. Durzo Blint, he is probably one of the coolest characters I've ever read about, and I can understand that a lot of people have him as their favorite character in this book, because he's a complete badass. He has so many sides to him. Like, you think you know him, and then you realize that you don't, and then you think you know him again, and then you realize that you don't. And that's because the author keeps bringing in new information. He keeps renewing the story, and there's always new surprises, and sometimes it feels kind of like a character is wandering around with all this information that they could have used in the beginning, and then you're like, why didn't you just tell us that to begin with? That's kind of annoying. But it does help the story, because it's a thick book, so it has to keep delivering, and it does. And it was an exhilarating story, and I always, loved going to bed so that I could read this book. It was great. It was a great experience, and I highly recommend you read it. I would recommend this book to people who like fantasy, and also to people who like action books, because this book is definitely action-packed. There are fight scenes all the time, and it sort of develops into this epic war, like literally. And also, if you don't mind having a lot of characters to keep up with, because there are so many characters, so many names, and you have to keep track of all these names, and I thought it was pretty hard because my memory sucks, so sometimes I didn't even know who I was reading about, but you kind of get into the groove of it, and it's a good book. So I give it a full 5 stars out of 5. So good. I can't wait to read the rest of the series. You should read it. This one. I mean, you should read it, probably. And that was all I wanted to say. I feel so hyper today. I don't know why. I should go do something. I have too much energy. Yeah. Bye.